tension that you might be holding in your brow, in your jaw, and in your neck, and allowing that tension to drop into the ground below you. And then move on to your shoulders and your arms and your back. And if you find any tension there, allow that tension to release and fall into the ground below you. And on down to the end of your body. Allow any stress that you might be holding to filter on through into the earth that supports us all, that holds us all, at least while we are here upon it. And just keep taking those deep breaths and ask your ghost to make itself comfortable in the center of wherever you are. For that is exactly where it is supposed to be. And I will do my best to narrate what goes on the screen so that if you would like to close your eyes or look at something else, you'll still have some idea of what we're doing here. So where we left off last in our travels is a city that starts with the name C, or the letter C, but I already forgot what it was. And when I booted up the game, I got engaged in a dialogue, which we are at now. So I'm gonna jump in here and see if I recognized who these people are that have stopped me in this little tunnel between cities. So somebody says, with purple hair, "How dare you keep us waiting?" And it is the couple wearing white, a lady with purple hair and a guy with blonde hair. And I forget their names, but they keep checking in on me. And the guy says, "Just kidding, trainer. We weren't really waiting for you. We were on our way to the power plant at Professor Sycamore's request. But the gate connecting Lumio City to Route 13 has been shut by a mysterious power outage. We have to investigate." The lady continues and says, "Hey, so there's Central Kalos and Coastal Kalos, right? Can you tell me what comes next?" "I'm just going to give you the answer," says the guy. "It's Mountain Kalos. So I'm going to take this opportunity and power up your Pokédex again." And now, the Pokédex has the Mountain Kalos region added to it. "You know, you look different somehow," the lady says. "Your face seems more mature." Just joshing with you. I'll be taking my leave now. Bon voyage." I hope there's some maturity showing. This has been a rather long journey already, even though I don't think we are even halfway through. So this is Route 13. It said the Lumio's Badlands. And as we come out of the little building, we're met with a windy environment. There's leaves blowing around. not a special attacker. She has a higher attack stat than special attack. And of course, Surf is a special attack move. But there's some kind of working man here. I'm gonna ask him what he knows. He says Pokemon around here will pop out at you. Maybe the electricity from the power plant has something to do with it. I do remember that there's a power plant. Well, obviously, our friends just mentioned they were going there, but that it had come up earlier in our journey as to why we weren't able to travel to a certain area because the power had gone out. But now we've run into a Doug trio, and this is the original Doug trio. The bald little moles joined together in their group. Oh, that's right. Miltank has a rocky helmet on, so when they made contact with their attack, they took some damage. But Miltank's just going to keep going here with its surf attacks. They have tried to trap her in a sand tomb, but it's not going to last, for they have been knocked out. I'm glad to have Miltank on the team, and another thing that I came to find with the Poke Rogue playthroughs that I have been doing, in case you're not familiar, Poke Rogue is a game online. It's a browser-based game, so you have to just play it on the website, and it's spelled Poke Rogue, like R-O-G-U-E, and it might be .net, but I can't remember. But if you search it, I'm sure you will find it, and maybe you have already played it. But I found it very entertaining, and it is essentially just a series of brutal battles that you go from level 1 to level 200, or at least you try to get to level 200, because once you lose a battle, you have to start over, and the battles get increasingly more difficult, and you sort of build your team at the outset, but you still want to pick up I should capture one. Although I would prefer to have a bite if I'm going to have a ground and dragon type. Or even, what is that one that starts as a dog and then becomes a kind of slug, and then finally some kind of megazord? It's a legendary, I guess you would say. Here's another metal grate leading to yet another little room that presumably goes underground. It also needs a pass in order to get in, but in the distance here we can see more of whatever buildings are out in the distance that is sort of flanked by steam geysers, maybe that are letting out exhaust from whatever machinery is going on beneath the ground. I like how when the encounter happens, there's sort of this rush of earth that breaks up from the ground. I feel like I say it every time I play this game, but I really love the art design, or the visual design of this game, and of Pokemon Sun and Moon as well. It may just be because this system is the one that I maybe spent the most time on, but I really do love the 3DS. And soon, in this current time that I am in, there will be a new system, I guess, the Switch 2, and I'm assuming that the next Pokemon title will come out on that. But I wonder how much different the system will really be. There's a lot of railings here that we can ride our rollerblades on, except that the wind is making it very difficult to go in this direction. To the right of the screen, it's very easy to go with the wind and speed along, but trying to move to the left, I am impeded by the gusts. And it's actually been very gusty outside today. In the small corner of the earth that I reside in, I'm very cold too, but I'm blessed to have a warm place to be right now, and I do hope that you can say the same. Well, look at since it doesn't seem very common in this area, and Gibble has been caught. And so it gets added to the Pokédex, and the Pokédex reads, Gibble, land shark Pokemon. It nests in horizontal holes warmed by geothermal heat. Foes who get too close can expect to be bounced on and bitten. So he's an aggressive little guy. But let's give him a nickname here. Let's call him Tremor. In honor of the I guess rather old movie at this point about worms in the sand that jump out and bite people. And I guess Tremor got sent to the box because we don't have space for him right now. It's still difficult to move this way, but it's actually easier to walk than it is to ride on roller skates or rollerblades. But I guess if I can't use my rollerblades to jump over the divide, then it's best to just go south. I guess it would be south, I'm assuming, because we can't reorient the camera that every time, well, that wherever we are, the screen is always oriented with north to the top. So we will continue south through this desert of tripinches to see what we might find at the bottom. And we are lucky to have gotten that Gibble. But here's another one. So I guess they aren't that uncommon. But let's see if Night Soil is able to take it down as quickly as the Trapinch. But of course not, because dragons have a resistance to grass type attacks. So it balances out into just being normal effectiveness. But 2 hits was still enough to knock out the Gibble. And so we've made it, and there is another guy wearing a hard hat at the end of this trail, and he says, is the power not getting here? The gate to Lumios won't open. The power plant is running, so what could be going on? Well, I'm guessing he's not going to let me get through here. And no, he is not. So apparently there's some sort of mysterious interference. The power is running at the power plant, but not getting through to the gate or something. So we've got some scientist up here. Maybe he has some clue. He says those Team Flare people in those red suits. Nobody who's worth anything hangs out with a group wearing garish outfits like that. Well, he is quite a judgmental scientist, I guess, because that's something to say about somebody. I'm sure there's other things we could criticize Team Flare about than their outfits, and sure enough, here is one of those people. They say, I am a member of the stylish Team Flare, and I'm gonna win in style. So now we're battling a Team Flare grunt and their garish suit, according send in Binacle, who has two type effectivenesses, super effectiveness to this Houndoom. And Houndoom starts off with a Fire Fang that does hardly any damage here to Binacle. And Binacle starts with a clamp once it can get through the beat up attack of the Houndoom. Oh no, clamp missed. Okay, we'll try again. The Houndoom sniffing away with Odor Sleuth. The funny thing with Pokerogue is that the AI is much more brutal than in this game. Like, there would never be a Pokemon just using Odor Sleuth when there was no reason to. They attack with all the super effective possibilities they might have. And if they don't have any, and you're fighting, say, a trainer, they will almost always switch out their Pokemon to send somebody in that will do a better job. But this Houndoom has dealt quite a bit of damage, but I believe it will now succumb to a Rock Tomb. And Binacle wins and grows to level 28. And now it wants to learn Ancient Power, which is a nice rock attack because of the possibility that it will raise all of Pokemon's stats. Although it is a special attack, and I think that Binacle, actually I know that Binacle, well I know that it is the Adamant type, or Nature rather, which gives it a higher attack. And I think naturally it has a higher attack stat than not. Than special attack, I guess. But the Grunt's second Pokemon here already out is a Golbat. And I didn't see what its first attack was, but it didn't do very much damage. Although Binacle is nearly knocked out. But we're gonna try for another Rock Tomb. The Golbat uses Confuse Ray, so now we have another step here to get through. Binacle gets through its confusion and sends another volley of rocks at the Golbat, slowing it down yet again. But I'm sure that won't be enough because Golbat is very fast and Binacle very slow. And Golbat uses Acrobatics to knock out the Binacle. I'm going to send out Leaf now, just so that it can get a little experience. And even though Golbat is so close to the end of its HP, I'm worried that Pancham won't survive an attack. The question is whether or not Leaf is faster than the Golbat. I just want to check its speed to see if I think it's possible. but still no evolution here for Pancham, so I guess maybe it needs to reach a certain level, or know a dark move. I may need to look that up. But there's more drama here with the Team Flare grunt. He seems very upset and screams, "Where's my power plant pass?" Oh no, did I drop it? My power plant pass somewhere. I know what to do. I'll make a stylish deduction. I must have dropped it when I was feeling around that boulder 9 steps east of where I'm standing. If only I had a dowsing machine, then I could find it with style. Well, I'm guessing he means this right here because, yep, that's looked like about 9 steps, and sure enough, we have found a power plant pass on this boulder. So that must be what we need to grant us access into these doors, and this last door here, the furthest to the west, gives us a view of the tallest building yet. The spire in the distance that has, looks like wires coming down around the side to create kind of a conical shape. And the power plant pass opens the door so that we can get inside and head towards the power plant. So now we're in a subterranean passageway that looks kind of cyber futuristic with these bluish gray tiles and lights. But there's no encounters here. We go down a hall and up a staircase into another door. And it continues. Somebody calls out, "Knock, knock, who's there?" Startled. "Knock, knock, who you? It's a Team Flare grunt, and they say, "Seriously though, who are you?" "Only authorized personnel are allowed in here." It makes the battle stance, and we are in a battle again. The Team Flare grunt sends out a scraggy, and we still have Night Soil up at the front, but I think Night Soil is going to do just fine here. Starting off with a sleep powder, putting the little lizard to sleep, and following it up with, oh no, Scraggy woke up using its shed skin ability, which allows it to slough off special conditions. But it is also now infested, which I guess I thought was going she says, "That blasted Team Flare, they've come for the sole purpose of stealing the electricity we send to Lumio City from here." Yep, that is what he said they were doing. And another scientist in the back says, "Space-based photovoltaic power generation. I can't believe this state-of-the-art technology has fallen into the hands of a bunch of villains." Space-based persistent. And they only have one Pokemon, so it must be pretty good. It's a Mightyena. I was expecting it to have Intimidate and lower Night Soil's attack, but it did not. It starts off with a Swagger attack, so Gloom is confused, and it hits itself in its confusion. Maybe we'll skip the sleep powder and just try and get an infestation going here, because it appears that this Mightyena is actually pretty strong. And now, I'm afraid that if I keep Gloom out, she will get knocked out. So I'm gonna switch her again and put in Leaf, who actually has an advantage here against the dark type Hyena. Mightyena uses an Odor Sleuth attack just to give a good sniff here and see what all this little panda's about, and then follows that up with a Swagger attack. So now Leaf is also confused, but let's hope that he can move through it, and he does, and connects with a Vital Throw attack that is super effective and knocks out Mightyena in one hit. And Night Soil grows to level 34. The Team Flare Grunt is defeated. He says, I lost on purpose. I just realized that the candles here are very Team Flare with their red wax and the flame. Now I'm mad, he says. I told you I was persistent. I refuse to budge from this spot. Not an inch. Well, I guess we can't go that way then. I wonder if I have any more healing. I don't. I guess I could try to... Well, I could go get more fresh water. Also, I can use Dorothea's milk drink to transfer some of her HP to my other Pokemon. So I'm going to let Night Soil drink some of Dorothea's milk so that she can be restored. And then I guess I can use Dorothea's milk drink when she is in battle to restore her HP. It's like the move Soft Boiled that Chansey is famous for knowing or learning. I think it's the only one that knows that. But as we go the other way, we run into another grunt, and they say, oh, I sure do love me a good happening. I love the feel of accomplishment that comes with overcoming a challenge. That is a good feeling. To make it over a challenge, or through a challenge. But this is our challenge now, to defeat this grunt, who leads with a Scraggy. And I think this is going to be a good matchup here, because Scraggy is a dark type, and starts out with a high jump kick, misses Pancham, and hits the wall. And Pancham follows up with a Vital Throw to knock out the Scraggy. And then they send out a Golbat. And of course this is not a good matchup for Pancham, so we will send out Binacle and hope that he's able to last it through the attacks. Golbat sends a Confuse Ray that puts Little Binacle into confusion. But we're going to try for a Clamp so that we can get some damage every turn. Binacle snaps out of confusion and clamps the Golbat, dealing a very tiny bit of damage, but now will deliver a little more every turn with its clamp. Now we'll move to the super effective rock-type attacks and use Rock Tomb. And it did quite a bit of damage. I probably should have just used Rock Tomb from the jump, but in any case, the swift attacks are not enough to knock out Binacle. So this next Rock Tomb gives us the win. Golbat goes down and Binacle almost grows a level. Leaf grows to level 29. And the Team Flare Grunt says, "Now you're a trainer who knows how to bring a good happening." I like the way he calls something a happening, because I guess almost anything that happens can just, well, I guess anything that happens can be called a happening. We continue on down this green-lit walkway to our next Team Flare Grunt member, Team Flare Grunt, and they begin with a Golbat, and we begin again with Leaf. So this is not the best, and now Binacle unfortunately has a lot less HP. So I'm worried about sending him right out there. I guess we'll go with Morning Star and hope that this Golbat doesn't immediately knock it out. Starts with an Air Cutter attack that certainly would have KO'd Pancham. But Morningstar is faster than the Golbat, and so in the second round of attacks, gets up into the air first and flies down, hitting Golbat for more than half its HP. And we'll do it again, flying up high with Legender. Golbat misses with its wing attack, and Legender knocks out Golbat. Giving us a pass into the next Pokemon, which is a Mightyena. I'm going to try to restore Morningstar's HP here with a Roost, and hope that Mightyena doesn't immediately take it all away. Mightyena uses Odor Sleuth, so we are safe. And we'll continue with a Fly attack here. Mightyena's Swagger attack misses, but then it uses Assurance, which is a dark type attack that I think says that it does twice as much damage if the Pokemon it is attacking has already been dealt damage in that turn, so it only really has applications in double battles. But this was not one, so we've defeated the Team Flare Grunt, and they say the future doesn't look very bright for me. Oh, I wonder if it's because I'm wearing sunglasses. I suppose that could be, but they are red sunglasses, and I think that can actually have the opposite effect. It's like they say wearing rose-colored sunglasses, or glasses, rose-colored glasses, makes the world look rosy. Alright, we have another Team Flare Grunt, and this time I would like to be able to heal up Binacle, but I don't see how that's going to happen. I'm going to lead with Morningstar. So we'll switch Morningstar into the front used it on a team. It's kind of like Meowth and Persian, but dark. And I guess they made them dark in Alola, so. But at this point, there's so many Pokemon. There are, I guess, many versions of similar types. But Morningstar doesn't have much of a problem here knocking out the Liepard. And then he grows to level 33. And the Grunt sends out another Swalot. It seems to be working well, so we're just going to continue with Morningstar's fly attack to knock out the purple guy. In the shiny darkness of this underground power plant, Morningstar received an encore, but it doesn't have any more fly attacks left. I guess it ran out of power points. There you could see when Swalot used a toxic attack that its mouth opened and is indeed a very big mouth. Morningstar still has to use fly because of the encore. Oh wait, no, that time it did attack. Well, I guess I am confused as to why it struggled in its last turn. But there is no more struggle now because the Swalot has been defeated. And so has the Team Flare Grunt. I only succeeded in hurting my Pokemon, she says. Unfortunately, yes. But it's never too late to turn your life around and become a different person. Here we go. Another Team Flare Grunt says, "You'll not get past me. My pride is enough to keep you at bay." And we'll see about that. She does have 3 Pokemon. And of course, all these team members in all of these Pokemon games do have a lot of pride. And I think it's a tricky thing, pride, because I think it's important to have a certain amount of it. Otherwise, we can get caught up in, well, sort of the opposite of pride, feeling less than or incapable, being down on ourselves, I guess. And that can be a big impediment to, well, to a lot of things. Really to most things, if we don't have some amount of belief in ourselves, and I would say even pride in our abilities and in the life that we are here to live, then we can get caught up in a lot of negative thinking. But too much pride can also blind us to the way things really are, or maybe the effect that our choices are having on ourselves and those around us. So, of course, I think there is a lot to say for humility, but I don't think humility is the opposite of pride. I think that they can work together to give us a good balance. To allow us to believe in ourselves and what we're doing, to feel good about who we are, and also to be aware of everyone around us and the responsibilities or the possibilities that we may have to bring joy to other people's lives and to see ourselves as one of many in this world. Because I think it can be was alone, whether